We are here with Stefan from Katanga in Brno, Czech Republic. Stefan, so nice to see you again. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Nice to see you too, Gary, and hello to everybody.
Stefan, let's get an update on what's going on at Katanga. Maybe we can start with the product that everyone knows Katanga for, and that is the Wow Velomobile. So, are there any recent updates on the Wow?
Yes, the production of the WoW goes on very well. We have done again some 50 WoWs last year. We are now working at WoW 622, I believe. So the WoW is already a mature product, so there is not much changes on it. But for instance, we developed a long grip shift for the roll-off, and we place it on the left side so that the grip shift, the boden go directly from the left steering handle to the rear wheel, and it facilitates greatly the shifting with the roll-off. Yeah. Then there have been some other minor things like adaptation of the tail tree, so that you can pump it out without having to unscrew the screws that hold the tail to the body. This is something that we will implement now. And then also we offered also coil springs instead of the air hydraulic springs shocks. So the shock with the coil spring is an advantage for people who do long traveling and who want to be sure that if something happens with a shock that they still can drive. So with the coil spring, even if you lose the damping effects, you will still have the coil working. So, and it's financially also a less big investment. So these are new things on the WoW, but as told before, it's a mature product that works very well, and we concentrate on delivering a very well finished product of which customer can enjoy without having problems when he uses it.
Very nice. All right. Well, that is what the WoW is known for, of course, as well. Now, let's start talking about some other changes. There is a bit of expansion that you've been working on at Katanga. Could you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Yes, the space is getting small here because we have a lot. We also started to sell more Pony 4 quads. And we continue to develop new options for this four-wheel bike. And for instance, a trailer we plan to develop this year, and also with another Velomobile, of which we will speak later. We see that space is getting small, so we have finished now the building of a new assembly hall. It's not so we will keep both places, and they are located 120 kilometers from each other. So quite a distance, but I also plan to move there. It's outside the city, and it's also my personal choice to leave the city. And I will then every week bike to the place in the city where we still keep the assembly of all four-wheel bikes. The Velomobile production will go to the new place. Research and development will also stay in Brno in the city because we have our engineer here. So that's big news for us, big change this year.
Very good. Now, you did mention that Velomobile assembly will be going there, and there is something new on the horizon, maybe a little bit closer than the horizon at Katanga, with regards to a new Velomobile, a project that you're working on. And the VM45 is what we're talking about, and very exciting stuff. So if you could, Stefan, could you share the information you have on the VM45? What is this all about?
Yeah, so the VM45, it's the working name of a new Velomobile that we have been developing the last 2 years. I call it Velomobile because it is the aerodynamic bicycle with more three wheels, or in this case 4 wheels. So it's very similar to the Velomobiles, but legally it's not anymore a bicycle because we intend to homologate it as a light motorized vehicle. So it will be more a bio-hybrid vehicle that will almost always also work with e-assist, with an electric motor. Yeah? And the 45 stands for the 45 kilometer per hour, which is allowed for this type of vehicle. Yeah? The last 2 years, we have worked very intensively on development of this. So you see some computer design images, but we are today, in fact, already milling the forms and making molds for this. So we use for this a new technology, or let's say we do all the computer design. Forms we design on computer, and then we mill them with a computer steered robot. This is done all externally with our partners, so it's not our robot. And then we have the forms, the molds made with this computer designed and milled models. So all this technology is for us new, that we design a complete Velomobile with these techniques. And it's heavy investment, but it looks very nice till now. And we are anxious to see in a couple of weeks, when all the parts are finished, if everything fits together, of course, because this would be a very big disappointment if you see that some mistake was made and that doesn't fit.
Good. If we can pause here a second, Stephane, and maybe step back to the design and concept part of the VM45. You've been doing a fair amount of testing, and a lot of thought has gone into this. Let's take a look at a couple of the test beds that you've been using here.
So indeed, before designing the complete bike, we wanted to test out some variations, some setups. So we have made a couple of bikes. Of course, we have tried also to look to what exists and try out some bikes, but we also built some own concepts. This is some suspended, independently suspended bikes where we can put any type of engine in the forks. And on the right rear wheel, we have just simply an engine, motor, electric motor. And at the left wheel, you have the motor plus the chain from the person. In the middle, you see a special vehicle. It is all four-wheel steering, so the four wheels can steer, can turn. And they have hub engines, hub motors in the rear wheels. And you don't see a chain on this bike. So it's a generator, mounted pedal generator that also controls the power of the engine. This last one, this is built on an Armadillo base, a bike that we also produce for our Swedish partner. Has also hub engines, but in the front wheels. Yeah, and the human power goes to chain and roll off. We kept the bafang there, but we don't use it. To the rear axle, where there's a double freewheel. So these are three totally different setups, and we learned a lot from all these setups. Yeah. Finally, the setup that we decide to continue with is found some inspiration in those, but it's not identical to one of those three prototypes that you saw. So that's a very futuristic setup, the chainless bike. So if you don't have a chain, then everything becomes very simple. And like you see here, you can see that you can also steer with four wheels, because it's very easy with a hub motor and transfer only by electric wire of the power. This generator works also very fine. You don't have the feeling that there is no chain. And if you, in the start, you saw that also driving backwards is very easy. So this is a very interesting setup. We decided not to continue with this one in the VM45 because it's still a little early to count on this solution. But it's always possible that we come back on this setup later, because the body that we create for the VM45 allows us to use it for variable ways of transmission or motorization.
Let's get back into the transmission here and at how you're actually building the VM45 as you have it now. So let's look at that. Tell us about it.
Yes, so this is the setup that we decided to develop for the first small series, for the first prototypes that we will drive. And it's the Valeo motor. The Valeo is a big automotive company that decides to invest also in lighter vehicles and electric bikes. And this motor is quite unique because it integrates also a gearbox of seven speeds, all in one with the engine, with automatic shifting. It also allows to do regen, backwards, reverse drive. So a lot of interesting things that we need in the VM45. It announces also quite much power, less than what we legally would be allowed to use in the VM45, but enough for what we want to do. And this is a light biohybrid vehicle. So we know that with the WOW, it's a very efficient. It doesn't need much energy, and the VM45 will also be very low in energy needs. So the engine of the Valeo should be powerful enough for it. So you see on the red is the tube of the chain. So this is the power coming from the legs to the engine, to the motor. And then the motor is built very close to the rear axle. It's connected to the rear axle, to a differential on the rear axle. That is mounted in the frame. And from this differential, you have two half axles with fixed lengths, which go to the rear wheels. And it's a very compact construction because these half axles also fulfill the role of the upper swing in double wishbone rear suspensions. So we only then accept this half axle under it. You see the underswing, and this keeps the wheel in the position. Yeah, we use the coil spring, quite a cheap component, and works fine. And so we end up with I think a very innovative solution, very light, compact. And the whole construction, so motor, rear suspension, rear wheels, is mounted in some steel cage that is attached with some screws to the body. So for assembly, maintenance, you remove the screws and the whole system can glide out the Velomobile. That's the idea behind it.
You know, there's a little echo of the WOW construction in this, isn't there? In terms of being able to access various parts of the vehicle easily, and I'll bet that also goes back to the idea of production. I mean, I know this is something you're keeping in mind all the time, keeping things simple and economical to make this a project that's both profitable and easy to use and maintained by the customer. Is that fair to say?
Exactly. So we are careful because it's an ambitious project. So we don't want to risk. We prefer to stick with technologies that we master, that we use in the WOW or in other four-wheel bikes that we make, like the Pony 4, the Armadillo. So we are quite conservative because we know what we can do well, and this we can use for the VM45. And on the other side, of course, you saw correctly a lot of features that are in the WOW and that our customers like, we try to have in the VM45, being the accessibility, different parts that you can exchange if you damage something like the nose, um, and the access is really important. So we want even to do more, if possible, than what we have on the WOW. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, great. All right, let's go back to the slides and let's get these finished up here. All right, so Stephane, the design configuration for the body, the shell. This is a shot of the WOW being used with a solar option here, and you're designing the VM45 with some thoughts about adding solar to it as well. Am I right about that?
Sure. So this is the winner of the Sun Trip in 2021. So to get out of the WOW, he had quite some issues. So first, his panel was quite high, so that he could get out because the opening is to the upwards. And then he had to adapt his system. He lowered his panel, but with some rope, he could pull it up to increase the height of the panel so that he could step out. So. I've also participated with the Sun Trip, or let's say the preparation of the Sun Trip with the Pony 4 with the solar panel, it has inspired me a lot because these possibilities are really fantastic to combine a solar panel with a bike for traveling. So when designing the VM45, we wanted to be sure that it's always possible for users to mount a solar panel on it and still step in and step out of the Velomobile. So that's why we have created the opening of the door. So you get in from the right side, and it swings on the left side. It will turn around the hinge. It still allows to have a panel not too high above the Velomobile, and you can step out from to the right side. Yeah? That's
Very
the idea
good.
behind it. Yeah, we don't have the ambition to offer ourselves such a Velomobile VM45 with a solar panel on it. This is more than a project for customers to add on it. And personally, I will do it for mine, but at least we wanted to create a base that is healthy so that this is possible to be done.
Good. All right, you also got a bit of help on the design of the VM45, if I'm not mistaken. University there. Tell me about that story.
Yeah, that was the first time that we worked with the university in Brno. Quite a lot of universities here in Brno, and this is the department of the automotive. These people are usually working on heavy trucks or cars, so also for them it's quite new to work on these vehicles. They assisted us with some finite element method analysis, other analysis to try to detect before we create the vehicles which parts are too weak, and then we reinforce them or we change the construction slightly. They also advise us with some steering. So it's nice to have this help, this supplementary ideas, inspiration, and for further projects, we will count on them too. Yeah.
Great. All right, now let's finish up with the most recent information about the VM45. You recently visited the company that is putting together the actual shell of the VM45. And so as we come to a conclusion here to see where we're going to be in this process, let's take a look at some shots that you took. Tell us a little bit about what your visit, tell us a little bit about how that visit went and what you saw.
Yeah. So here you see a picture of our van. So I personally transport this models because they are made in very light foam, let's say. Yeah. Then I bring them to our partner in Slovakia, who makes all the forms. And here you see the model where he already added some coating, and then he brushes it so that it's really a very shiny and hard surface. And he does this several times till he can make the mold on it. Here you see the molds of the nose. Yeah. So already a lot of parts, the molds are ready. From these parts, he will now produce the product. Yeah. This is the opening of the hatch here. And the central part, the biggest part, there is still not milled. So I hope by the end of this week, I will get this. I will transport it then to our partner in Slovakia who makes the molds. And then we can see if all the parts fit on that. Yeah. So that will be the most critical step, let's say.
Great. All right. So you're getting close here. So, of course, the next question I am going to ask has to do with when do you think this project is going to be ready?
Yeah. So we think that during April we will have all the parts, so the not only the body but also the mechanical parts, and that we can do the first assembly. Yeah. And so there's Spacey, for instance, also end of April. Would really be nice if we could get one ready who rides, and that we see that there's no big mistake, then we could show it. Yeah. Then we will for sure have to solve many smaller things. So for several months, we will try to ride with it and solve all these child diseases, I call it. It's the startup mistakes that have to be corrected or adapted. And in parallel, we will start with the homologation process, which we don't want to underestimate. This can be really very complicated because it's a light motorized vehicle. It's not a bicycle anymore. So it's a total different legislation. And it will for sure take at least 1 year before this is homologated to be used at 45 kilometers per hour with electric assist. So it's probable that we will offer before that already a version with 25 kilometer assist. The question is if this is an attractive product, if it's because it will be a little bigger, heavier than the WOW, for instance. So if the engine stops at 25, it might not make a lot of sense, but we will see if there is interest for this. It would be a solution to offer it faster on the market. If we have to do all the homologation, I think it will not be earlier than summer 2024 before it's on the market.
Great. All right. And then lastly, you are kind of looking for a name for this thing. So did you want to put the plea out there to our audience and anyone else who might happen upon this for a name? Do you have some ideas?
Yeah, let's say we are not focusing on finding a main name now, but as we are informing, as we are making an update, I thought it would be nice to indeed mention that we didn't find a name for it yet. So the VM45 is just a working name. So any good idea is welcome. Indeed, send us your proposal if you have something nice.
Very nice. All right. I was thinking of the Wowee, but I don't know if that's going to work. It sounds a little long, but I'm sure someone can come up with a much better idea than that. All right, Stephane, I think we'll probably leave it there. So I want to thank you so much for spending your time, which I know is incredibly valuable and kind of tight right now. So Stephane, thank you so much for doing this update with us on the Laid Back Bike Report.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gary. It's always a pleasure to speak to you, and greetings to all your followers.